Oh God, there's too many jellyfish.
It's such a wonderful ride. It's such a wonderful ride. It's no fool's paradise. It's such a wonderful ride.
Hi there, Graham.
Hi, Graham. Good to talk to you.
Yeah.
Tom, firstly, let me talk to you. Can I just ask you, what are the conditions like out there? They were chundrous yesterday, and
It's one perfect day down here today, though. It's dropped off a bit, and the wind's gone offshore, and it looks really neat. It's not as monstrous as yesterday, but it looks really clean. The conditions are beautiful down here this morning.
Welcome to another Occ-Cast. I'm in California, Santa Barbara, and I am with my, well, what can I say, my teenage idol, then turned my rival, and now my good friend Tom Curren. Thank you, Tommy, for being on the Occ-Cast. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome, thank you.
How have you been?
Pretty good.
Good. What have you been doing lately?
Yeah. Well, I was in France surfing for a bit and visiting my kids over there and doing a bit of surfing. The waves were pretty good, you know. I was kind of surprised.
Yeah, because it's middle of summer, right?
Yeah,
so
early summer.
Early
So
summer.
some little surf, and that was nice. So I haven't been surfing a lot here.
Yeah.
There have been a few swells down south, so got a little bit of surf, but otherwise, you know, right now just kind of working on testing out new boards and testing out new materials.
Very
the
interesting. You were
latest-
just showing me before the bamboo board.
Yeah,
It's pretty
so
cool.
the latest is kind of combining the skimboard idea with wood and bamboo in particular and cork. And so over the last month and a half in France, that's what I've been kind of, you know, developing that with Kevin Olson over there at his shop. And, you know, as just kind of like working with materials, like step by step, trying to, you know, seeing what materials are going to be worth, you know, working with the next, you know, next board, you know, next time around or whatever. So it's been pretty exciting. I'm, you know, looking at the properties of bamboo and the you know, it's very flexible.
Yeah.
It's very strong and very dense, and and it holds up really well. So I think the sum it up is basically to bring those materials like bamboo and other you know, wood materials in more of a high tech, high performance aspect.
Yeah. So this is an experiment that's going to turn into a full regular board, right?
Right. So the thing about bamboo, and I'm, you know, I've heard different things. I've heard that it's very hard to work with. Don't bother. And then I've heard other things, you know. But one thing about it is it's very available, and you know, it doesn't cost a lot. So that's a good thing. And you know, you have these. I think you have these performance properties, and it's just a matter of learning how to, you know, how to get it to cooperate. Actually, you know, that's one of the things.
So Tom, a lot of people out there probably don't know that you speak fluent French. You used to live in France. It seems like an eternity ago. And now, obviously, you're back. You've got Mackie, your wife, and you've got Frank and Pat. How's Pat going? We've done a surf trip together, didn't we? A boat trip. That was so fun.
Yeah.
You just told me it was like 5 years ago. It feels like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
How's Pat doing? Because he was ripping on that trip.
He's still ripping. He's
Still ripping.
ripping more and more.
More and more.
But he's involved with his music a lot. So right now he's got his band and Clean Spill.
Oh, really?
They're called Clean
He's playing
Spill.
music.
And, yeah, he's got
He
his
was
band.
playing guitar when we were on that trip.
Yeah, so that's
Oh,
going.
so is he more into that than surfing?
He likes both,
Both,
but
yeah.
he's got a band and they're doing some really cool stuff. So
Not interested in competing? Because I remember on the trip I was like, you got to compete, boy.
he's just become more interested again recently, actually, because you know, it's just it's it's pretty hard. You know, you gotta have the support, and you know, to go around and travel in the QS takes quite a lot of you know, takes a bit of a budget too, and support. So, but he's looking at probably doing some contests, you know, again, maybe a little bit more, and then hopefully there'll be some more regional events for him, and then Frank as well. He's surfing really good.
Is he? Oh,
yeah. So.
How old are they now? Pat, 21? Would he be now yet, or no?
Patrick's 20, and Frank is 21.
21.
And but yeah, you know, they surf good, especially at the right points. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, they're goofy-footed, but they, you know, they really feel comfortable at good right points.
Right. Yeah. It's funny. You've got two goofies. I've got two naturals.
Yeah.
Hey Tom, let's talk about the early days. You qualified in 1983, and I will never forget the first time I saw you surf. I was at school at Cronulla High, and all I had to do was walk over the hill to Wanda Beach, where you were staying with Jim Banks. And I don't know if you remember that afternoon. It was big. It was like 6 to 8 foot. You were pretty much the only one out there. Really hard day to get out, like it usually is in Cronulla when it's big. And you were the only one out, and just, I mean, I know you hate hearing this, but you were absolutely owning, and I've never seen surfing like that. I think you won the contest that year, Barry Pairs, huge contest, and you surfed against like Rabbit, Sean Thompson, and Shane Horan, and that.
Yeah.
Through some generations. How was it? And what was your first experience of coming to Australia and just kind of dominating?
Australia was a place I'd been once before at the World Championships on the Gold Coast, so it was my second time, and I went a little bit early, and I bought a car, and I stayed with Helen Banks, and we would go down to Gary Beach, and then mainly surf the beach breaks. It was summer, and you know, the points and Shark Island, all that were pretty much not at all. And then, you know, and then it was just kind of small, regular beach break. And, you know, I had, you know, really good boards, and I just loved Australia. I remember the car that I bought. It was just some funny old English car. And I got it for like really cheap, you know, and, you know, I was learning how to drive on the other side of the road and everything, so it was really cool. I loved Australia.
Because then you stayed with Steve Core the year after that, the filmer, right?
Yes.
Because you won, and then after that, because you won a car in the contest.
That's
and
right.
I'll never forget, I drove that car down to South Coast Pipeline, Wreck Bay.
All right.
You were already going back home, but I didn't have a license. I was only 13 years old, and I was driving the car, Tom Curren one. I was that stoked.
Yeah.
Went down with Steve.
You went down the coast, down.
So that
funny,
little wave, South Coast Pipe, which is Jervis Bay, beautiful wave.
Yes. Wow.
That's all time. I felt really naughty driving your car.
That's funny.
I was chuckling to myself, just going, I'm driving Tom Curren's car.
So that car, I actually was learning to drive in that car too.
Oh, you were?
You know, I was 18, so I didn't know how to drive, and I ruined the clutch after about 3 weeks.
Just doing like those kangaroo hops.
I don't know. I didn't figure out the clutch, you know.
Yeah.
But, no, I did what you're not supposed to do with a clutch, basically.
That's what, I'll never forget my experience with the clutches when I actually won a car. The contest at Bell's was the skins. I think you were, I don't know where you were at that stage.
You won that one, yes. I was not there.
I won the car, the Jeep little Wrangler. And so everyone's like, the presentation's gone, and I jumped in the car and I'm going. I'm like, I've got my 55 grand, I've got the car, and I'm just going to show off and try and like do a burnout. But my clutch didn't work, and my like kangaroo hopped all the way up the hill. I couldn't stop, and I was just laughing hysterically. That just did not happen, and people must have been cracking up. Anyway, it's not about me, it's about you. How's your memory? Like, I know you're not really a stats man, but do you know, like, head-to-head battles we've had, you know who's on top? Do you?
I have no idea, but
I knew you'd say that.
I have no idea because at first I was keeping track, but then I decided to just forget it because it was so uneven. That's what happened.
No,
So
no,
I-
no. It even right up. Like before the last match-up we had, it was 9-all. And then at J Bay, he smoked me, and now it's 10-9. We need a rematch.
Oh yeah,
do. We
for
definitely
sure.
do.
Yes, we do.
WSL.
Yes.
If you don't do it, we're going to do it. Without you.
Yes, yes.
What was probably your biggest loss against me? And then I'm going to tell you what my biggest one was
Ooh,
against you.
Okay.
What hurt the most?
Ooh, you know which one? That would have to be the OP Pro.
OP
It has
Pro,
to be because
yeah.
that was so. I wanted that one so bad, and you did. You won it, and you won it dramatically with
Yeah.
that one,
Yeah,
the one
one-footed
foot thing.
Yeah.
And so that was hard
was a hard
because
one.
yes, that was hard. And you had the momentum, and so it was.
Was that the year of the
yeah.
riots or the year before?
That was
it?
the year before.
The year before.
Yeah.
Because in the riot year, I think, we met in the semi. And then that's when the riots happened because you lost and no one was happy. They were not interested in the contest
Yeah,
anymore.
right.
They were more interested with the girls taking their tops off. And then the fight happened, and then the police came, and the cars got turned over. And were you on the beach anymore? I was no, you were gone. Yeah. Because you would have been straight out. I was against Glenn Winton. I was against Glenn Winton, and I won the first best out of three. I won the first two. Ian Cairns came up to me. He's like, "Listen, you've won the contest, but there's a riot, as you know.
I know that's
and
what
you
happened.
have to go back out there and pretend that the third one." And I just
Yeah.
I was cold, so I put my full suit on, and I just sat out there, just going, "This is really cold."
Yeah. No, I had. Yeah. That was terrible.
That was terrible.
Really terrible. But Ian had a good.
Yeah, he had a good head on his shoulders.
Crisis thinking.
Control.
That's yeah.
Yeah, well, my probably hardest one, which is probably the best heat we've ever had, was you'd be able to guess it right now.
Oh yes, the one at Bell's. Yeah,
at Bell's.
Yes.
The semi-final we had. Felt like I surfed kind of nearly the best I could surf, but it was still not good enough. That morning, I had a heat. I'm really testing your memory now. That morning, I had a heat against Mike Burness, which must have been the quarterfinal. He didn't show up. He slept in. Do you remember who you surfed against in your quarterfinal that morning?
No.
No, I knew you'd say that.
I don't. But wait, let me think. What do you know?
I don't remember. No. I mean, I've
Even
if you ask me these questions,
no
chance. I've got it written
everything
down here.
because
I've got the stats right in front of me.
because even the waves got better.
They did.
For that because the tide came in.
I came in,
The
it
waves
picked up a
were,
little bit.
yeah.
A little light on shore crumble. It was just
I just
perfect.
remember I almost left that board in Sydney.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I almost didn't bring that board, and then the day before it was still flat, and I was down at Winky, and I was just trying it out. It was kind of like, big, kind of, sort of chunky, but it had a really good, a lot of drive, and the waves were small, but it was Winky.
Winky. Yeah.
Winky's different because you try a board at Winky, and you might find that board doesn't work so good at Bell's.
Yeah. You mean Rincon or it was Rincon? Or Winky?
No, Winky.
Winky. Oh, we
Yeah,
had heaps
because-
down there.
No, I was just free
Oh,
surfing
free
the
surfing,
day
yeah.
before.
Yeah.
So, anyway, that was what happened, and the kind of funny circumstances that I almost didn't have that board, but the board was really good at that, at that point. So.
Was that a Black Beauty?
Yes.
Yeah. What do you think about Dane? He was obviously you're his hero since he was growing up. He idolised you, and pretty unique surfer, eh? Really different.
Yeah, I had, I got to see Dane from really early.
Yep.
And I surf at his beach down there, one beach that he goes to, and he still goes there, but
Yeah,
it's
he was
like a
telling me
beach
about
break.
this morning, yeah.
And so, yeah, just
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 see him develop.
this athletic, approach,
waves,
and it was just, and he was. And then he started doing this all the futuristic stuff.
Yeah.
Like once you know, he was like, this guy's going to be good. And then he started doing the futuristic stuff, right? So,
just added another component to his amazing surfing. Hey, he's powerful anyway, and then he starts doing all that above the lip and inverted stuff.
yeah, and I like what he's doing with boards.
Yeah.
He's got the boards to accommodate his air game and all that, but he has a bit of a different, I think a little different outline that's better for point surfers, you know, kind of like me, where I don't want to always have my foot on the tail, you know. I don't.
I can't get
some
my
guys
foot back there really.
Yeah, some guys will have their foot on the tail
All the time.
you know, I kind of watch, and you know, and then they really feel that you know, that torque and that drive and all that. I sort of move around more, so having the you know, the boards I've ridden of Dane's, or the ones that I've ridden, I mean, I don't know if they're all like that, but they have a bit of a more of a front foot approach in a way. So so that's good. But
you think I know there's so much talent on tour right now, but you think the tour misses Dane Reynolds?
Oh, sure. You know.
I know there's a lot of people out there that would love to see him on tour still. I mean, he had that 4-year run, but decided that he didn't like it so much. He was saying this morning, it's just too much. Couldn't handle the pressure.
Yeah,
Stressed
it's
out too much.
yeah, it's something that well.
How did you
know,
handle that pressure? You were so good with pressure. You never seemed like it phased you. You'd like, I'd like a really good poker face, or it just didn't bother you.
Yeah, it's just kind of you know, staying quiet and just kind of like focusing on the event, you know, mainly, and watching the waves a lot and that sort of thing. But I think Dane, you know, I think, you know, it's just to be nowadays there's kind of a lot of guys around that age in California that, and I don't know how it is in Australia, but that could compete just even in a regional way or whatever, you know, and then you know, but I think there just lacks some of that culture in the U.S., especially on the West Coast. You know, for somebody like that to just compete regionally and then semi-regionally and not have to make a big, you know,
Jump.
big gamble with
Yeah.
you know, a certain amount of time and budget, you know, to do that, because then basically if you want to go on the QS, you have to just forget everything else mostly until you get there, right? And then the good thing is that as long as you can keep going, it doesn't matter how many years it takes. You just have to want it, you know.
Persistence too.
And then over time, you'll have all that experience anyway, so, and you'll know the breaks, and all you have to do is just not get tired of it, you know, going, basically. So I think if we have a better regional tour here, you know, guys like Dane would have, you know, at least an outlet, and if that's even what he's, you know, if he's interested at all, I think contests can be fun, you know. Of course, when you're winning, they're fun, right? So I think he's probably doing other things that is more exciting right now.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
Yeah.
He's got twins coming too.
And
he's going to be busy. And craziest time on tour together. I don't know
like
if we had
craziest
one.
time on tour. Not really.
They're all
Kind
in
of
the water.
funny. Yeah, but we had kind of funny meetings, like at odd points, like especially in France. Like I remember one time we were going to Mundaka. It was early in the morning, and you were just coming home from somewhere with Roland, and your foot was messed up, and you were coming home.
Yeah.
We were going to Mundaka, and your foot was bad. So you and I'm like, are you coming? You coming? You're like, mate, nah. He was like done. It was like the end of the night.
Yeah.
It was about 6 in the morning, and you were walking home I don't think you were walking, limping, I think, something like that. And then I don't even remember, that was like, there was no one there too. There was like, it was in the, no, you and Roland.
Oh, me and Roland, from Rockford.
But it was like in October or something. There's no one or winter or
it
something.
was like it was getting
very
winter
quiet.
time.
Yeah. You remember hurting your foot?
No?
No, nothing then. Okay. Was it your knee then?
Yeah, I'm not too sure, but that's what.
Or was that
too
just an
much alcohol
excuse?
does.
Was that, man, it hurt my foot.
The dark is like 12 feet. No, I'm not coming. But I know you love to surf big waves. You've had a lot of big wave sessions. Like I remember one in Japan you had, and I know you love to surf big waves. Looks so good. Did Waimea Bay ever interest you? I know your dad loved it.
Yeah, Waimea is great. I mean, I'm not, when it gets over a certain size, I don't really feel comfortable,
Okay.
But Waimea is one of those places that has a bit of a safety net, If you're, I think if you know when the swell's peaked, and you know when the sets are coming, you can get in
a safe spot, yeah.
Get worked and get pushed in or get, so this kind of has a safety net because there's a bay there, so it's,
Yeah.
I mean, that's nice, but I just don't have that much experience, and a lot of times it'll be just too crowded and stuff, so.
You've never liked the crowds.
Yeah, so, to have to, deal with crowds on a wave that you really want to focus on without crowds to begin with. So I didn't really surf there that much,
The world titles, told me of 3 world titles. I would like to know which one tasted better, the first one or the last one, or the middle one.
Mm-hmm. Well, the first one, yes,
Yeah.
because it was,
1985.
you never know.
Yeah.
You never know. You might
You had a
just
good
get
year.
close
Yeah.
and just not get there. So that sort of anxiety maybe was a bit more than the other ones.
Yeah, for sure. And talk about that legendary wave in Margaret River. That's where I got to how big was that wave, the wave that you caught all the way through to the beach, you reckon, Margaret River? A lot of people, for some reason, everyone kind of reflects on that wave. And I remember, because I was there, I saw it. I mean, I thought it was solid 15 foot. It was big.
Yeah. Yeah, well, yeah.
Big
The thing is, it
wave.
was a big roller. It
Big
was a big
roller,
roller. It was
yeah.
probably about 10 to 12.
Oh, okay.
But what happens, it just kind of, because the tide, it didn't come back onto the reef. It just kind of went out and just kind of went over there. Like in between, there's a rock, and then sometimes waves will break there, linked with that section. So that's the only reason why that wave went
all the way,
that way,
yeah.
because it wasn't even on the break, actually. It was.
Yeah, for sure.
It was like coming, and I come all the way to the river.
The river.
And then I go to do a floater, and I should have landed it, but I fell off. I was like landing a floater at the beach break.
Yeah,
No
but-
kidding.
But there was no
I'm
one
not
there.
kidding. If
Like,
you've
we
been-
couldn't see that. No one could see that. There was no one on the beach. So you
You've
were
been
like
to
just doing
Margaret
it for
River, you
yourself.
know how far that is.
Yeah,
It's pretty
it's a
far.
long way.
Like it was classic, but the ride itself was not really a heat score. It was just the funny thing was like
It was the length.
it was.
You got a huge score. I think it was a 10-point ride. Pretty sure. Let's reflect a little bit, Tom. Like, I know, just like myself, you left the tour for a while. Not similar to me, obviously with different people, different reasons. But why did you stop, and how did you come back?
Well,
You only took a couple of years off, right?
Yeah.
Not long.
Yeah, so I did like, I stopped and then I came back and then I stopped and then I went on the QS for a while, sort of, not really too,
Serious.
yeah, so it didn't, but I was kind of competing a little bit off and on after, but, so I stopped competing and then kind of just kind of stayed at home a bit, and then just surfing at home, kind of not a lot going on.
Not a lot. Just
I was
downtime,
in France.
quiet time. You're in France,
I was in France.
Just
and,
downtime, quiet time, needed
yeah.
it, kind of thing. You came back, and came back with a vengeance. But do you remember the heat you had? I think you pulled out a 5.5 twin fin from the 1970s, and beat Matthew Hoy in a heat. Do you remember that?
Yes.
That was classic.
Yeah.
I remember. What did Matt Hoy say? He's like a pretty outspoken guy. Did he have anything to say about it, or not really? You guys didn't converse.
I don't know Matt that well,
Yeah.
but I know him a little bit,
Yeah.
and you know, I think ever since that time he liked me. Like he was so surprised
Before
by
that.
that because
Yeah.
he thought that was cool. After that, he thought that was really the coolest thing.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because it's a, you know, the board's not very good, but you know, the waves weren't even very good. But I got like a couple of waves that lined up, did a couple turns, and then you know, it was just, he was probably just laughing. He probably thought it was funny. So it was pretty,
Yeah.
you know, and that
Matt,
board.
I'm gonna get that
yeah.
story from Matthew Hoy because
Yeah.
it's epic.
And the funny thing is, that board, I saw it last year.
Oh, you
A
did?
friend of mine has that
No way.
board, and I'm looking at it last year now, and I'm thinking this board's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
It's a Rick twin fin back
Mm-hmm.
when those were kind of the like a Steve List type of boards where there's like twin fins were really modern at some point, you know,
Yeah.
and they look modern nowadays. You know, they're just a bit heavy.
Yeah. You like surfing twin fins?
Yeah,
Still do?
I don't usually pick twin fin. Mostly three fin, but I'm really interested in trying to get a good single fin.
Single fin?
With a flex tail.
Yeah.
So I want to get the, you know, the fin all flexible and the tail flexible, and I think if I can do that with a single fin, I think it could be good because you know, there's just less fin
Yeah.
in the water, so you're really having
Less
only,
drag.
yeah, you have just, you know, but overall, three fin setup is what I like.
Yeah.
You know.
Now, I know these are hard questions, Tom, but and you have to reflect and think back. But do you have a most memorable session? I know you've had a lot of surfs over these years, over all these years.
No, I really don't.
You don't?
I have, you know, like sometimes like people like to ask that, like when was the best barrel you had, you know?
can't answer
And
that.
I can really only I can't remember it because I'm so, you know, just
It's been too many.
it's
I
just
get the same questions. Yeah,
it's just lucky that you were able to go around and just go surf waves and have these great spots and surf these swells and just get all these barrels, you know. So
it's just it becomes more
and-
memorising. I can be on a boat trip or something, and I'll flick out of a wave and not even remember what I've done.
yeah,
On that actual wave.
yeah, and then like, and you know, you remember some of those times when you had a lot of barrels, you know, but the thing about it is when you get a really good barrel, you're thinking like, wow, you know, it's just the best feeling, you know.
It
So
is.
right, but and you just feel really lucky to be able to do that.
Yeah.
So.
You can't pick
And then when
one.
you watch like the contest on TV and you're like, oh, that looks fun, you know. But I don't really like to watch too much surfing on.
You don't?
No.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, at WSL, you're not.
Oh, I
like-
do.
Oh,
Watch,
you do.
Yeah,
you watch that,
yeah, I
the
watch
contest.
that. Yeah, I watch that. But
But not.
the newest, and latest movies, I don't,
no,
I don't know
same.
what's what.
Yeah.
but-
No. Tom, I know you love your music and you're such a good musician. I've seen you play and played with you. Tried to, for me anyway, but I'm very avid. But what does music mean to you, and when did you start getting into it? At what age?
Well, music is kind of in my family a little
Okay.
bit, and my grandma had, you know, she was very musical. My mom is very musical, and so I was involved in some kind of music since I was young. Started off playing the drums, and then picked up guitar at 14.
Okay.
And just started learning more consistently when I was about 22 or so. So just been keeping at it, and I really
You played
now.
any gigs lately?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I've been playing a few gigs and stuff like that, and been able to travel a bit with that.
Yep.
Well, it's kind of one thing that is different about it is you get to go to some different kind of places that you don't usually go to.
Yeah.
So,
With surfing.
yeah,
Yeah.
so Nashville and
Yeah, wow.
you know, Canada, some places in
Mm-hmm.
Canada, and you know, and then more kind of places that aren't near the beach and stuff like that. So that's been nice to see different places than go to the same places.
Yeah.
So and then the music is really I really enjoy collaborating with other musicians,
Uh-huh.
and I've been able to you know, do recordings with
Mhm.
with musicians, and you know, from different types of music, different music background, and a lot of times we have you know, we have recording to, you know, between recording or playing gigs, and then surfing as well. So
Yeah.
so all
Oh, that's
those
great.
things are really kind of nice to be a part of, and you know, when at the same time. So
Mm.
um,
How does it feel playing live? Because I've always known you as such a quiet, humble person, and then you play in front of like such a big audience. How does that feel?
yeah, I don't know. It's I'm always trying to concentrate and get the sound right, you know.
Okay.
So
So you don't think about it too
I'm not
much. Yeah.
not too much, but if it's a band situation and
Yeah.
the music that I'm hearing is right, you know,
Mhm.
then I relax a little bit, you know.
Okay.
And then most of the time it's me, you know, trying to make sure my guitar's in tune and things
Mhm.
like that.
Mhm.
But you know, at the same time, the collaborating with other musicians is really rewarding, you know.
Okay.
So
So the $1,000,000 question is, what would you prefer, playing in front of a packed out Anaheim stadium or surfing perfect 6 to 8 foot J Bay with no one out?
you know, I don't know. I don't really. I think, you know, if I had to choose one or the other, I would choose surfing. You know,
Okay.
but it'd be, you know, it'd be fun to play on stage to a big audience.
Yeah.
But it's more of a, to be involved in music is really really amazing, because you know, like surfing is it's you couldn't think of not being a part of surfing and the surfing community. And music's sort of like that. It's a little different, you know, but
Yeah.
I think it'd be very hard to imagine, you know, life
Not-
without music
Oh, yeah.
at all, you know, whether you're playing on a big stadium
Mm.
or not, you know, or if you're listening to the music. Still, I think it's a valid question. Of course, I've got to surf J Bay already with, you know,
Yeah.
so, and I don't
Yeah.
I
for
don't
sure.
see that as being something that you ever get tired of.
Yeah.
So-
For sure. But music's everywhere. Just imagine no music. I mean, I can hear a bird in the tree right now singing a little tune. So
That's right. That's
it'd be-
right. Yeah.
life wouldn't even be nothing. It'd be nothing without music. Tell me, when you look back, what do you think was your most memorable time in your career? Getting on
Okay. Well,
tour?
so here's I guess where I think the most memorable time was right when I was starting out.
Yeah.
You know, and it was kind of like you were watching me
Mm.
1 year, and then the next year you were out there doing it, and then you
Well.
found yourself #1 in the world.
You sure
You know,
did
like,
inspire me.
so-
Like, you really
so
lit a
you-
fire under me.
So it was a very, you know, it's like you had a feeling you were going to do good, right? You had it, but
Yeah.
you just didn't know, right?
Well,
so
when
you,
I saw you surf, I've got it right now. I had like
Yeah.
chicken skin, and it just went through my veins. I'm like,
yeah,
I
so
don't want
that
to do that.
so then, and so I, you know, and then of course when you, in your situation, when, you know, everyone was doing the same, what you were in high school, and watching me, you know, guy from California, you know, and, you know, on the tour, you know, and that was probably the thing, because you were like the next year sort of thing, so you had a sort of a, you know, build up, kind of like me when I was like between, you know, the amateur career and then making it on the tour, not the sort of jump, you know. So that was very much memorable. And then, of course, I remember some of the times that we traveled on the search tour.
The search, yeah.
Search, you know, that was good because we'd come around the corner and there'd be these really good waves.
That no one's ever surfed before.
Yeah.
Must have been incredible times.
Yeah, so that was definitely very memorable.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So
Search,
yes.
yeah, absolutely. Tom, I've got a little bit of a favour to ask. You can say yes or you can say no.
All right.
But I've heard you love to roller skate.
Yes.
You do
okay.
it?
Yes. You want
Okay.
to borrow mine? Yes,
No,
of course.
I brought
yes.
my own skates.
You have skates?
I brought my own skates and I was, can we
wait.
go skating together?
Are you? Yes. That's great. That's
Wanna do
awesome.
it?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
All right.
I love roller skating. I've skated
You've
ever
been
since
skating.
I was young and I heard you love it.
Yeah, look
And
at
Billabong,
that.
E-Nick bought me some new
Whoa,
skates.
dude! No.
That's another Occ-Cast, and Tom, thank you so much. I love
Thanks.
you, mate.
Good
And
to see
that
you.
was unreal, and I really appreciate it. Let's go
Thank
roller
you.
skating.
Yeah. Oh, but these are amazing. Whoa. What is that like?
Take your time and you'll wind up with the same old story. The name of the game is no one's given to a hand held out. It's not what you do, it's who you know. But come on, baby, and 1, 2, 3, let's go. Take it out.
Have you noticed when you flush a toilet, it goes around like this in
That's even
Australia,
more interesting.
but here it goes the other way because we're on the opposite sides of the world.
Yes,
It's gravity.
It's the Coriolis. And it's because the storms on the South Pole and the North Pole are both traveling left to right. Isn't that cool?
That is so cool.
And then you have a Coriolis effect, and that's why you
Coriolis,
get-
that's the word I didn't. Yeah. Coriolis effect. Same as the toilet. Let's go.
Baby, 1, 2, 3, let's go. Taking our chances, 1, 2, 3, let's go.
But you know, it's
So
really
good.
cool about these too.
Yeah.
Is like traveling in the cities, like Japan, like in the
Yeah.
city.
I've done it for a while, eh? Like when you first get on there. Awesome. I'm gonna get the most hits I think I ever on this one.
Oh God, there's too many jellyfish.
Such a wonderful ride. It's such a wonderful